So today we're going to start talking about mobile design, and why are we starting with mobile design and not interface design or computer design. Uh, it's because that mobile design has become more important um, in the interface space than designing for a desktop. And this is the reason why. Over the years, more people have been accessing sites and apps through mobile than they are their personal computer. So it's the first means of getting information. Consumers increasingly rely on mobile web for research and discovery, which makes it more important than ever for organizations to have an effective mobile presence. In 2015, Google tweaked its search ranking parameters to give mobile-friendly sites a boost. Here's an illustration of a desktop design. The middle screen is that same desktop design viewed on a mobile device, and then the last illustration is a design for mobile. So if you've ever gone to a website on a mobile device and the type is really small like it is in the middle illustration, then you have to zoom in and try and read the type that way. It becomes very frustrating. So today people are creating responsive designs where you have a certain design for a desktop and a certain design for a mobile device so that it is easily accessible to either device. 94% of Americans with smartphones search for local information on their phones. 77% of American mobile searches occur at home or at work, places where desktop computers are likely to be present. So even with a computer at your at your beck and call, people are still accessing information through mobile devices over desktops. So a lot of talk is about, do you design mobile first? Do you design desktop first? Some people are more comfortable designing mobile first, others aren't. The key is to focus on the content and having a smaller screen in mind. Whether it is done with sketches for mobile being made along the way while more detailed definitions are done for desktop first doesn't really matter. As long as you consider your content and why it's there and how it should behave across devices. Start where you feel comfortable, but experiment with both. And this illustration is an example of those paper prototypes. There are schematics of the iPhone 6 on Blackboard that you can download and print out and and that's how I expect you to do your low fidelity prototypes on those schematics. So as you're designing, think of your space, and you want to do the more important stuff in the upper left hand corner where people look first, and the less important in the lower right hand corner where people look last. So with your layout, you show your users what's most important, what their choices are, and how things relate. Some good ways to do this is to place principal items in the upper half of the screen and in left to right cultures near the left side of the screen. Here is an eye track study and a heat map, and the heat map shows where people look the most when looking at an interface. Whether it's a phone or a desktop design, you can see that they are looking mostly in the upper left hand corner. Feature your primary calls to action in your most prominent space. So a call to action is an instruction to an audience designed to provoke an immediate response, usually using an imperative verb such as call now, find out more, or visit a store today. So it can be easy for mobile users to miss items, so always put your key calls to action where the user can see them. Google and Answer Lab study participants had the easiest time completing tasks on sites that clearly displayed primary calls to action in the main body of the site, with secondary tasks available through menus and items below the fold. Below the fold is an old newspaper term. That means that when a newspaper was in a newspaper box, you could only see the top half of the newspaper. And so all the impertinent information was above the fold where they could see it in a newspaper box, and all the less important information was below the fold where they couldn't see it in a newspaper box. So a shorter menu with distinct categories. An extensive menu might work well for your desktop, but mobile users won't have the patience to scroll through that list of options to try to find out what they want. Consider how you can present the fewest menu items as possible. For instance, a major department store refined a product category on its mobile site, presenting study participants with a shorter, more clearly defined list than on a desktop. When you are designing your website, don't design a home button. Do not design a button that says home. Users navigate through your site. They want an easy way to get back to the initial home page. And in a Google Answer Lab study, participants usually expected to tap on the logo at the top of the page to take them back to the home page, and became frustrated when it didn't. So don't design the word home in your design. Just make your logo of your company the home page. I'm sorry, the navigation to the home page. And navigation, an often overlooked area, which is starting to get more attention when it comes to mobile design. Ultimately, mobile navigation should be like a good friend, there when you need them, but cool enough to give you some space. A bad friend is someone who is not there when you need them to talk to, when navigation is absent or hard to find, or someone who is obnoxious because they're always around and taking up space. Dude, get off my couch. Find the balance between accessible navigation and mobile screen real estate is an art form. So in this illustration, you can see on the left-hand side, on the top of the screen, it says pull down for navigation. So that's a hidden navigation, and that hamburger, the 3 lines stacked on the right-hand side, that is a universal indications for hidden navigation. So you can either pull down or you would tap on that, and then the hidden navigation would expand down from the top to the bottom. And so you can see on the right hand side, the navigation is now visible for them to click around, and then you can click on the hamburger again and hide that navigation. When you're dealing with search, you want a search item to be at the top of the page. Users looking for specific information usually turn to search, so search should be one of the first things users see on your site. In a Google Answer Lab study, participants responded best when easily visible. Open text search boxes are at the top of the page. This is the end of this presentation.